The NBA world is still trying to get their bearings after the trade that sent Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers from the Dallas Mavericks and sent AD to that Dallas Mavericks team as well. But on today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about some of the teams in the Western Conference that were rumored to be interested in the Bulls' pieces. Are they now back in on trying to keep ahead of the arms race that's naturally going to happen in the NBA after a move like this? We're going to talk about all that, plus preview the game tonight against the Pistons and get into the mailbag. All that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Sarah Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And so Luka got traded to the Lakers. And the Lakers get a player in Luka Doncic that they are probably going to make the cornerstone of their franchise for the next decade. Well, a lot of people are asking, what about the fit between LeBron and Luka? I think great players end up figuring out. Luka Doncic is a perennial MVP candidate every year that he is healthy. And I've seen some kind of crazy reactions from people like, oh, well, Luka's trending to be more unhealthy than not. Like, he's played 60 games every year of his career. This is the first year he's going to play less than that. So, no, not really, right? Like, and we'll see how it ends up shaking out. You know, people thinking that the Dallas Mavericks are probably going to be able to stay at least afloat in the Western Conference, which, we'll see how those pieces come together, how healthy AD can stay as well. He's going to have some defensive bigs around him and Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, which means they're probably now out. And that kind of leads me to the next conversation I want to have, right, is the teams that have been rumored interested in the Chicago Bulls pieces in that Western Conference, and does this change anything for them? First up is now the Mavs. And I think, hearing that the Mavs had some interest in Nikola Vucevic, and that they were potentially looking to move Daniel Gafford, I think this trade stops all that, right? Not to say that maybe some subsequent moves can't be had. We'll see what happens and how they try to shape things going forward. But I think now with AD there, you have the two defensive bigs around him when they're healthy, and Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. You still got Kyrie Irving there. You still got a really deep team as well, right? I still like the depth of the Dallas Mavericks. I do think that, where they sit in the Western Conference as well, depending on where AD and how AD is, they're gonna definitely at least stay around the playing area for the remainder of the season. But I think this now eliminates any real chance that they were interested in that they're gonna pursue anybody like Nikola Vucevic. So I think that closes the door there, and perfectly fine. There's still other teams, right? The next one is the Lakers, right? That's another team. Now, there have already been tons of questions on, does this trade make the Lakers more or less willing to make a move for somebody like Nikola Vucevic, who reportedly they already had some interest in? Now, we've also heard, I want to be upfront with this, we've heard since this trade went down that Clint Capella is somebody that they actually could target because they can get cheaper, right? That the Atlanta Hawks aren't looking for any first-round picks like the Chicago Bulls or anything like that. And I think this will show to me, if the Lakers, and big if here because we don't really know what exactly they're going to be looking to do between now and the trade deadline now, but if the Lakers are looking for a big, right? And we'll see if the Chicago Bulls are at the point to where they're just willing to move on from their assets to get anything back, like as long as you're giving them some type of future compensation, or if the Lakers are just, or if the Bulls really are holding their first-round pick value. We've heard all throughout this that the Lakers only wanted to give up one of their first-round picks, right? And they did that now with making the move for Luka Doncic. They have one more available, but reportedly they wanted to hold on to that. Now, with having a 25-year-old Luka, does that change it, or does that make it stronger, right? That's a question here because, depending on what they want to do. And I think how well they see the LeBron and Luka fit their being is the question there. But if they still want to, they got that Rui Hachimura contract, which gets you most of the way there, right? So they can do like Rui Hachimura, and they can throw in another contract to try to make it work, whether it's a Christian Wood or something like that, to try to make the money work, and then take back Vooch and one of our vet minimum contracts, either THT, Torrey Craig, which, I mean, does Torrey Craig become a little bit more enticing there, but it comes down to what are the Bulls' asking price? Are they still holding on to that first-round pick evaluation for Nikola Vucevic, or are they going to look to try to take advantage of a team like the Lakers who could be looking for big man depth right away to then try to move that and just take the 2 seconds and, at that point, at least they've moved off of something like that. So, that's the question that's there when it comes to the Lakers and their evaluation. I think this takes them out of any type of Zach LaVine trade, which they haven't really been rumored to be interested in Zach LaVine for quite a while there. So I'm not really expecting that to be the thing. But as Jackson Hayes as their starting center, the only other player that they have behind him that can play some center minutes is Trey Jemison, I believe is how you pronounce it. He's 6'10", 260. So center depth could be a thing that the Lakers are going to be searching out now between now and the trade deadline to try to solidify that team and any type of run they could go on. The next team up, the Golden State Warriors, which have been mentioned for Vooch and mentioned for LaVine. This has actually strengthened their case. And the reason why I want to talk about the Golden State Warriors here, they still sit currently right now at 11th in the Western Conference. They're actually tied record-wise with the Sacramento Kings, so they're right there, right? They're only a game back from the Phoenix Suns and a game and a half back, technically, of the Dallas Mavericks. So if the Golden State Warriors see this as an opportunity that the Mavericks could have gotten a little bit weaker here, we'll see what happens with the health of AD. Could the Golden State Warriors be more aggressive now, whether that's Vooch, whether that's LaVine, in acquiring that guy and seeing that helps them in their pursuit? That's a big question here. All the same parameters of the trade still exist, right? Reportedly, last we've heard they want to try to find a third team so that they don't necessarily have to give up Wiggins. That's something that they want to try to do if they can, is to hold on to Andrew Wiggins and still add Zach LaVine, and hold on to Kuminga and Wiggins and really add to that, which would mean to me, right? And then this is just speculation on my part, but if they're trying to hold on to Wiggins and they're trying to hold on to Kuminga, that would hopefully point towards them being more willing to then give up draft capital, which they have draft capital, right? We've talked about it before. They have every pick that's available except 1 in 2030 that's protected to the Washington Wizards, right? So other than that, they can move picks. And so is that something that the Golden State Warriors now look to take advantage of? That they'd have to move a lot of players. I talked about that in yesterday's episode. It's like 5 players they'd have to move. So you need a third team because the Bulls just don't have that many roster spots open to take back that many players. And if they try to send out that much, that's gonna mess up the salary matching. So the Golden State Warriors, are they more in now on Vooch or LaVine to try to add to what they have here to try to make a run here towards the end of the season and maybe take advantage of the chance that the Mavericks slip or anything else to try to increase their chances to get into that play-in tournament? That's a question that we have here. I think that is an option. Next up, the Denver Nuggets. Right? Again, another team that's been rumored to be interested in Zach LaVine. They are 4th right now in the Western Conference. They're only 1 game lead over the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, we know Luka is not healthy yet, right? But if the Denver Nuggets look at this Luka acquisition by the Lakers and thinks that this is something that could challenge them in the Western Conference, keep in mind, they're the 4-5 matchup right now. If the playoffs were to start it today, right, which Luka isn't healthy today, but if they were to keep those and Luka become healthy, that means that they are facing off against the Lakers immediately. And that is something that I think, that could push the Denver Nuggets to be a little bit more in on trying to make a move. And if Zach LaVine is that move that they think, and, we'll see if that happens there. And let me be clear, the Denver Nuggets have a lot of reason to be confident still in what they have. They got Jokic there. They got an MVP candidate there, right? A player that's having statistically one of the best seasons in NBA history. So it's not guaranteed that they're going to feel like they pressured to make a move. But if they do, could they pivot back to the Zach LaVine acquisition, right? And so that's the things that you got to look at as well there. The Clippers, who sit right below the Lakers, a half game back, I think that we've heard some rumblings that they could be looking for moves, but I don't think anything the size of a Vooch or a Zach LaVine type deal. I think they're looking at more kind of supplemental deals because they're just hoping Kyrie's going to stay healthy. Kawhi is going to stay healthy. So, but maybe just take a look out for that as well. But this is definitely one of those shifting type moves in the NBA, and we'll see if it pushes any other team to maybe get back in on some prior deals that were talked about. Now, with that said, the Bulls do have a game today against the Detroit Pistons, and this is a team that sits right at 500 right now. They are playing some pretty solid basketball. Cade Cunningham is looking like an absolute star right now. They sit at 7th in the Eastern Conference, only a half game back of potentially avoiding the play-in at number 6, depending on what happens with Miami, right? But they're right there are the Detroit Pistons. And so this is a team that on the season. They are 18th in net rating, 18th in offensive rating, 14th in defensive rating, 19th in true shooting percentage, 16th in effective field goal shooting percentage, 4th in rebounding, though, which is crazy, 21st in turnover percentage, so look out for that. But this is a team that right now is basically their record 500, and they're basically in the middle of the pack of every statistical category. But the thing that's really elevating them is the play of Cade Cunningham. And that's something that the Bulls have to be worried about for sure, right? And so over their last 5, they're 2-3. They're 5-5 over their last 10 as well, with most of those metrics staying the same for that team. But this is a team that the Bulls have to look out for. This is no longer the Detroit Pistons team of a few years ago, even though that team still beat the Chicago Bulls a couple of times, right? So the Bulls have to be on their P's and Q's today. They have to be prepared, they have to be well coached, and they have to be well executed. And that bench unit that's been looking pretty good since P. Will moved to the bench, and they're starting to build some chemistry with the youth and the way that they execute. That's the real thing that I'm looking for in this game. How well do Matas, Jalen Smith, Dalen Terry, right, Patrick Williams, how well do those players execute off the bench, and how much do they elevate things? Again, you're playing a young, youthful team, even though we got some vets in there, and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris there. So you're looking at that, but listen, this is a team where if the bench can come in with that pressure and energy that they've been playing with, that really does turn the tide of some games. But don't overlook the starters. We need Coby White, especially while Zach LaVine's down. We need Coby White to continue to be locked in. We're going to need Vooch to be locked in as well. And we're going to need Josh Giddey to play well, right? We're going to need these players as well as Lonzo to do the things that they do well and their strengths and play towards their strengths and as a team. Let's limit turnovers. Let's try to limit the paint. Let's attack ourselves. Naturally try to get that rebounding. Like I said, they're the 4th best rebounding team in the league per rebounding percentage. So you really want to be on your P's and Q's, keep them off the boards, off the second chance points. And if you can do that, you can try to get a win today for this Bulls team. And we'll see if the Bulls can do that, get their second win in a row, and we'll see what happens there. But it is Sunday. Even with trades, that means it is still Mailbag Day. Let's go ahead and get into these voicemails. This one's from BKR.
Hello, everybody from Gold Coast, Australia, the beautiful Gold Coast, Australia. Welcome in to BKR Sports Life over here. Hey, listen, I just wanted to pop on here and quickly put a big old comment towards that Luka and AD trade and how it impacts the Bulls. And I think that what I really want to focus on here is that, gee whiz, this tells you right now that even if you think that the Bulls are down and out, they're frustrating and it's sad to be a Bulls fan right now when it's angry and nothing's going right for us and it doesn't look like we have a future. Well, guess what? The Lakers just saved their future out of absolutely nowhere. The Lakers just saved their future out of absolutely nowhere. LeBron's buddy 40. AD is 31. And everybody else around didn't look anything spectacular. Well, then they go and trade for Luka Doncic. And they get him for AD at 31 years old for a 25-year-old. You know, and do we have the caliber of a Anthony Davis to trade? No. But the point is that expect the unexpected. We are down and out right now, but things can change dramatically. They can change at the drop of a hat, and we just don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Because guess what? Dallas fans, they had no idea this was happening. Luka Doncic had no idea this was happening. The Lakers and LeBron, I guarantee you AD, no one knew this was happening. So hopefully AK and Mark Eversley are cooking right now. Hopefully they're doing their job. I don't trust it. But then again, it can happen, man. Things can change dramatically and put us back in the right direction. So I've got hope based off of this. The biggest focal point that I take from this is the hope factor that anything can happen and expect the unexpected. Much love. Go Bulls. Let's fire it up.
Listen, I love your reaction to this trade because you're right. Nobody knew. They said LeBron didn't know about this happening before it went down. Luka didn't know about this before it went down. You make a great point, right? Is that you never know what's going on in the NBA, what's happening behind the scenes. Now, I will say this, our front office hasn't given us much hope that they're actually working on something creative behind the scenes, but you just never know, right? And so we'll see what the trade deadline holds for the Bulls. More than anything, as far as just trading a bunch of names, I think most of us just want to see a direction. Most of us just want to see this team get to a place where they're doing, something that makes sense. Not just do something to do something, but doing something where it seems like you have a goal, where you have a focus, where you have a drive, where you have a plan, right? It's been a long time since it seemed like this front office had a plan that they were an active plan, right? The wait and see plan is easy because you're just waiting and seeing, but more so being active and engaged and executing a plan. So that's really important for this team. I think that's really important to rally the fan base around as well. We'll see what's going to happen here for them. But I love your perspective. And, the last 24 hours, not even 24 hours, like not even the last 12 hours. Like that trade went down like 6 hours ago. But, with that said, man, just watching, monitoring, we'll see what the future holds for the Bulls. And, you never know, right? And that's why when people say things like, oh, well, they're not going to make a move because they haven't made a move at the deadline the last couple of years, it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. I understand where their thought process. I'm not going to argue with the thought process, but let's see what this team does, man. Let's see what they do. All right, let's get into the next voicemail. This one's from Brock.
Hey, Hayes, Brock here. Just a quick question. On the back of the rumour that the Spurs were trying to get Giddey, who would you try to target, two players, either by a trade, upcoming draft, or in the off-season free agency to capitalise on his skills and strengthen his weaknesses? Realistically, two players that the Bulls could get. Who would you go for?
Great question here, Brock. Great question for your first voicemail. Two players that the Bulls could target. I'll say this. I'll give you one of each. In the draft, Khaman Maluach. And I believe I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but I love this kid. I love his drive. He's a very efficient player. He's actually having, despite the stat sheet not jumping out at you, he's having one of the most efficient seasons in collegiate basketball history. So that's what you're looking at there. So listen, Khaman, I love him a lot. I think I completely love the potential of him being here for the Chicago Bulls. Like, I think he's just a smart player that understands. He has tremendous upside as well of being a young guy, but at 7'2", 250, well over 7-foot wingspan, 74% from the field so far, 1 block per game. And again, that Duke team is really, it's not like he's even heavily involved in the offense as far as them running plays for him, but he always finds a way to be productive. Don't let that 6 rebound per game number shy you away. This kid's going to project to be a really good rebounder at the NBA level. So in the draft, that's the guy that I look at. Free agent, and this is going to be surprising, but you specifically asked somebody who would I think that would play well with Josh Giddey. I'm going to actually say John Collins. And I'm not even going to say that to say that necessarily I want him for the Bulls. Like, I wouldn't, depends on what it gets in free agency, but I'll say this, like John Collins, what does he do? He needs a point guard to be efficient, right? Then on top of that, he likes to run. If the Bull, he likes to get out in transition. He also can stretch out and shoot the three a little bit. You don't really want him being a three-point shooter, but he can do a little bit of that. I think that John Collins actually would play really well next to a Josh Giddey. Now, he does have a player option, so we don't know for sure if he's going to hit that open market, but I look at John Collins as a player that I think would really play really well with the Josh Giddey. I even could throw in Larry Market in that, but he's not a free agent, so he doesn't count towards the parameters you asked me. But I think that John Collins is another one. Just looking at the available free agents, I think he'd play really well with Josh Giddey, in my personal opinion. But great voicemail, Brock. Thanks for leaving that. Let's get into this next one. This one's from Soul.
What's good, Hayes? This your boy Soul calling for Toledo, Ohio. Today's February 1st, and I was listening to the episode today with the, call-ins and stuff like that. And towards the end, when you was talking about, we haven't heard nothing about Billy Donovan and the extension and this and that. And I was like, man, I felt like you was cooking at the end. Almost kind of like how Jay-Z used to be on the song, how J. Cole would be on the song, or even something like how the youngsters would say, Lil Baby be on the song. And it was like you ended it. It was like, dang. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I would have liked it if you could have elaborated a little bit more on that, because it was something, I know I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, it was like, never thought about that, So just tell us how you feel about it. Or if you can't, go a little bit more into that, because it was getting super good and you cut off. It's like, hey, well, that's it for the day. It was like, oh, man, you was cooking. But this is, like I said, it's so peace, man. See red, everybody, if you can. Go Bulls.
I stopped because there's really not much left to say. I think when you look at it, it is quiet on the trade front, on the contract extension front of Billy Donovan. But it was quiet before he got the secret extension that nobody knew about. Now, I do think that as much as we're talking about the Bulls, hopefully, evaluating the roster and trying to figure out their next steps, I would hope that would extend to Billy Donovan as well, to be 100% honest with you. I would hope that they are looking at Billy Donovan and questioning, is he the guy that's going to be able to get us through the next phase that we are, evaluate these guys, develop these guys? I think that's a big question. But Have you heard anything about a Billy Donovan extension? I haven't. I haven't even heard that AK even mentioned it. Billy Donovan hasn't for that much either. Now, that may come from both sides understanding that, hey, we're going to get this done when it's time to get this done. But I think that that's loud as well, right? When you're kind of unsure on the next phase of your team and your coach doesn't have another contract, I think it's natural to look at that and say, what's going on here, right? Well, do the Brian Windhorst. What's going on here? But so I think that there's that part of it. But I think ultimately, man, we'll see. It's just quiet on the extension front, and that quietness could lead to, hey, this front office is evaluating Billy just as much as they are the young players. We'll see. All right, let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Corn.
What it don't do, King Drip, it's your brother Corn, man. Let's get right into this shit, man. It's pretty much here, right, y'all? The dreadful day. Is AK gonna make a move? Is AK not? Is these rumors got fire, or was it just all smoke? We will see. And I am for one to watch the party thrive. But for the party to thrive, I feel like the party must die first for the party to thrive. Take it to what you want, man. I feel like I've been more pessimistic this goddamn season than fucking Steve-O, and it's fucking depressing. And I've just been depressed this whole Bulls fucking season. It's just been, even though we got the dub against Toronto last night, and like I said, man, I'm just gonna take it with a grain of salt. I am team keep the pick. I am team trade off the pieces that we need to trade off for the right price, of course. That trade for Vooch, for Clint Capella straight up, fuck no. Get some picks behind it, then we could talk. Not just for, like, that was, yeah. So, make the right trade. And to be 100, if it comes out that he didn't make no trades because they were trying to lowball him or they just didn't come to agreement, I'll be pissed. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna say, it's off. No, I'm gonna be pissed. But then it's just gonna be for that moment, and then it's on to the next. But I am really looking forward to this trade deadline. I am praying that AK don't be just be aggressive, man. Just be aggressive. Don't be scared. Just be aggressive, but be smart as well. And let's see, man. Like I said, the dreadful day is here. The deadline. So let's see, man. Let's see what happens. I'm excited. I'm one of the things to be excited about. All right, King Drip. All right, C-Red. Blessings.
I love how Corn says, let's get right into it, and then spends most of the voicemail not getting right into it. But I love Corn. I got to throw some fun there. I think the key thing that I'm going to pick up on what you said in your voicemail is making the right trades, right? There are some Bulls fans that want to see the Bulls make trades to make trades because they want to feel like this team is active. It's about making the right trades. And I hate to tell y'all this, the right trades don't always mean trades that make you better immediately right there on paper. Some of that is getting assets and maybe even getting worse initially. So we'll see what happens there. But I think that's a big part of all of this is that you're going to see this team kind of maybe make moves. And like I said, make the right moves is the key thing. Whatever that is make the right moves. And that's more important than just making a trade so you can shut your fan base up on you not making a trade. So I think that the pieces got to be there. The partners got to be there. And if they're there, you can make the right trade. Let's see if they can do it. Let's get into this last one, man. This one is from Shay.
What's up, Hayes? Look, I know a lot of people want us to get Cooper Flags or some type of guard if we get this top 10 pick. I say let's think outside the box. I say let's get that center from Sudan. He plays for Luka Doncic and the national team. I don't know what his name is. I think his name is, I'm going to say his initials, KM. I don't know. I don't know what his name is, but he's a center from Sudan. He plays for Luka Doncic. Sudan national team. I feel like he could be our building block and what we need. Like, don't get me wrong, Jalen Smith is good and all, but I feel like he could be the center of the future. Everybody's looking at Cooper Flags and all that, but I will want this center because he seems like he's a hard worker and he already has a style of play that the Chicago Bulls could use and we could build with our young core. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, tell me what you think. Peace.
Khaman Maluach, and again, I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but I do appreciate you not trying to say his name and murder it. I love this kid. I love his drive. I love the potential here, especially kind of the natural change of power from Vooch to Maluach, if Vooch is even still here by the time we draft. But I think Maluach is a guy that has tremendous upside, right? That, of course, isn't going to be talked about enough. And, not to say that he's necessarily my favorite player in this draft, because he's not, right? But he is a guy that if the Bulls were to get him, I'd look at that and say, all right, the Bulls got them one, right? I think the Bulls got them a nice development piece. Now, of course, there's always some concern with big man. You have to develop big man. Sometimes they take a little bit more time to come along as well. That's just kind of a natural thing that happens with some big men. Some big men are kind of dominant right away. But I think Khaman Maluach is a guy that he just has just about every measurable that you want. 7.5 wingspan. That's crazy. He has almost 10-foot standing reach. That's crazy, right? This is a big guy, a young guy who still has tremendous. He's only 18 and a half years old. That's it. Extremely raw prospect. Now, the thing that I think Bulls fans would do, though, is that we draft him and they'd be expecting him to be a 20-10 guy right away. And he's just not going to be that. But I think if you can give patience, really try to work and develop him, this is a guy that has a lot of the skill set. He has the drive. He has the motor. I like Khaman Maluach a lot for this Chicago Bulls team, so I completely agree with you there, Shay. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.